The Finnish parliamentary elections of March 1987 saw a 5% drop in the turnout to about 75 or 76%. The Social Democrats, who were the largest governing party, led by the long-term Prime Minister Mr. Kalevi Sorsa, lost about 2% of the votes compared to the 1987 elections, but they only lost one seat for a total of 56 seats because they were lucky in the distribution of seats. The centre-right National Coalition Party increased its vote by only 1% but gained 9 seats for a total of 53 seats. The Centre Party got roughly the same percentage of votes as in 1983, but it gained 2 seats for a total of 40 seats. The Finnish left Socialists and Communists, divided into 2 parties, got a total of 20 seats, a loss of 7. The Liberal Swedish People's Party gained 2 seats for a total of 13. The centrist and populist Finnish Rural Party, which had entered government for the first time in 1983 and had been unable to fulfill several of its promises, such as the quick elimination of unemployment, lost a third of its votes and almost half of its seats, for a total of 9. The Social Democrats and centrists had already for several years had quite tense relations, personified by the deteriorating relationship between their leaders, Prime Minister Sorsa and the Foreign Minister, Mr. Paavo Väyrynen. In 1986, Väyrynen had accused the Social Democrats of trying to dominate the Finnish political system. In the same year, he had announced his candidacy for the 1988 presidential elections. Sometime in December 1986 or in January 1987, the centrist National Coalition and Swedish People's Party leaders had signed and locked up in a bank safe a secret written agreement to try to form a new centre-right government if those parties got over 100 seats out of 200 in the 1987 parliamentary elections. Earlier in 1986, the centrist Swedish People's Party, Christian League and Liberal leaders had published a joint declaration or opinion on the economic policy. The late chairman of the Nokia Telecommunications Corporation, Mr. Kari Kairamo, had also been involved in the negotiations which led to the bank safe agreement. At issue was the dissatisfaction of some major Finnish industrialists in the government's economic policies, which in their opinion focused too much on supporting outdated and somewhat non-competitive industries and on reducing the income gap between the rich and the poor by taxing the rich, individuals and businesses severely. Just before the parliamentary elections in the second week of March 1987, the Foreign Minister Mr. Väyrynen lied that he had supposedly not signed any agreement with the other major non-socialist parties' leaders regarding the post-election government formation talks. President Mauno Koivisto decided that Mr. Harri Holkeri, a member of the Bank of Finland's Board of Governors and the National Coalition's previous chairman, would first try to form a broad left-right government whose main parties would be the Social Democrats and National Coalitioners. If Mr. Holkeri failed to form such a government, he or some other Finnish politician could try to form a centre-right majority government. Mr. Holkeri managed to form a 4-party majority government, which was appointed on April 30th, 1987. Its predecessor, Prime Minister Sorsa's fourth and last government, was Finland's first government during independence to serve for 4 years. Former Foreign Minister Väyrynen bitterly criticized President Koivisto for preventing the centre-right parties from forming a government and for showing a bias in favor of the Social Democrats. President Koivisto is a Social Democrat. Holkeri's blue-red government promised to reform the Finnish economy through a controlled structural change, to lower personal income taxes and to preserve the Finnish social welfare state. During 1988 and 1989, the Finnish economy overheated due to tax cuts, the freeing of financial markets, and a sharp increase in many private citizens' spending. Major Finnish banks offered ridiculously low interest rates on loans because the economic recession forecast for 1987 or 1988 did not come, and because they had a great deal of money to lend. During 1990, the Finnish economy stopped growing, and by the next parliamentary elections in March 1991, the Finnish economy was already in a deep recession with a quickly rising unemployment rate. In August 1990, the Finnish Rural Party had left the government due to its disagreements with the largest governing parties over economic policy. The remaining government parties suffered such a major defeat that the Holkeri government lost its parliamentary majority in the 1991 parliamentary elections.